from natural causes?
There would be, because I think cold exposure is one of the causes of natural causes of death. But I think the circumstances under which that cold comes into is it's what gives the question. It's like you can die in your sleep, and that looks like a natural cause of death. But if you died in your sleep in a hospital where nobody looked after you, and they just found you dead the following day, that is not strictly a natural cause of death, because it cannot be explained. You were brought into the hospital to be looked after 24 hours. How come when you passed away, nobody was there? So the circumstances of the cold, I think, determines how you interpret the word natural and unnatural.
Manje umbuzo ke ukuthi njengoba ke uyingcwethi ke manje ke sicela nje ke uchaze ke ukuthi ke udaba lokuthi ke umuntu mhlambe eshone ngendaba ke yamakhaza ngabe lokho ke kungathathwa nje ukuthi ke umuntu ke uzishonele kusho ukuthi ushone isifo semvelo kanti ke uphendula ngokuthi cha mina ke ngendlela ngiyibona ngakho ngoba ke amakhaza nawo lawo ayingxenye ke yemvelo kuya ngokuthi nje isimo sokuthi lawo makhaza athinteke kanjani yikho nje engicabanga ukuthi kubalekile ngoba ke umuntu uma umikisa lapha esibhedlela uma kwenzeka ukuthi ashone ngoba umikiswe lapho ukuthi ke akwazi ukuthi anakekelwe ingakho kubhekisiswa izinto ezifana nalezo kodwa ke kuba khona umehluko uma usekhaya ngoba ke uma ushone mhlambe ulele bathi lo muntu ushone elele kanti ke uma sesibheka indaba ukuthi ke izizathu zemvelo namakhaza nawo amakhaza ingxenye yemvelo manje ke kuyaxaka nje khona lapho.
As 'n kenner sal jy sê dat die sterfte as gevolg van koue 'n sterfte is van natuurlike of 'n natuurlike sterfte is, maar die omstandighede van hierdie koue, dit los 'n vraag. Jy kan in die slaap doodgaan en dis 'n natuurlike sterfte, maar as jy in die slaap doodgaan in die hospitaal, dan is dit nie natuurlike sterfte nie. Dit kan 'n onnatuurlike sterfte wees, want jy het na die hospitaal toe gegaan om die sorg te ontvang van professionele persone af.
Council, proceed. I don't think there should be any anxiety on your part. I see anxiety to want to, I can anticipate that there'll be questions about Kalinin, and there'll be questions, I have a few questions myself. We're going to go as far as we can. If we can't finish by the latest 5 p.m., certainly we'll have to ask the professor to come back tomorrow. But don't transfer the pressure to yourself. So do what you have to do, and let's see how far we go. And then from there, we will have asked the professor to come back tomorrow if necessary. But we're doing our damnness to accommodate him, but don't cramp your style.
Thank you, Justice Moseneke. Yazama. Professor Makhoba, you spoke about the overcrowding in some of the facilities that you visited. What is the impact of the overcrowding on the care of the mental health care users and their well-being?
I mean, it's called staff-patient ratio. It's like when you have a class of students, it's more harder to teach 60 students than to teach 20 students in a class. Now, if you have to have mentally ill patients who, each one of them individually, are demanding patients to be cared for, and you have them overcrowded, and some of them may have aggressive behavior or behavior that you cannot easily control, I think that places a heavy burden, I think, on the caring staff. Now, it becomes even worse if the caring staff is not clued up as to what to do about the patients that they are caring for. Like, for example, you know, if a patient has fits, there's a way in which a nurse would treat such a patient. If you take them to a carer who has no clue, as soon as somebody has a fit, they want to put the person down and hold her in a manner that they may not be able to breathe. But they think that they are helping because the patient is shaking and they want to stop the shakes. So the caring and the quality and the qualifications of the carers is very, very important. And that's what we found universally lacking in not every NGO, but in most of the NGOs that we looked into. It was that the quality and the qualifications of the carers was not something that we should be proud of as South Africans if we want to put people into NGOs.
But Professor, let me come in here with something, a finding, an observation that you made that worries me deeply. The stipends, you know, talking about the quality of care. You record that NGOs only received financial support from the Gauteng Department of Health 3 to 4 months after receiving patients from Life Esidimeni. This suggests that there could have been financial constraints on NGOs, leading to shortage of essential resources, such as food, linen, and clothes. Now that talk about staff-patient relationship and crowding, and I sit and I start wondering about that devastating finding.
Well, that is
If you're a small NGO, how do you
yeah.
wait for 3-4 months?
Well, that was a factual findings that maybe should be interrogated with the people who were running this project, because there's no doubt that both the health inspectors and even myself during interviews with some of the NGO directors, they were frustrated by the fact that they were promised licenses, they were asked to take patients to assist, but they were not being reimbursed. In fact, some of them had to go to court to be paid back pays for what they had already done. But that to me was I think it was a bit of a surprise, and it disturbed me. But what really disturbed me was this, that you undertook the project on the basis that you wanted to save money. Now, saving money is not the same as denying money in order to provide a service. But I keep asking myself, what can you do with paying 1,000 rands to look after a mentally ill patient? You know, I mean, 100 rands as opposed to 3. If I gave my son or my daughter 100 rands a day, they might kick at me these days in the modern world. So for 100 rands a day, you cannot look after a normal person, even in a developing country. Now you're going to take somebody who requires highly specialized treatment, and you reduce the amount of resources that you must provide. That's cruelty of the worst kind.
And you pay them 3 months, 4 months later.
You don't pay them. They have to go to court, and knowing lawyers, you're all expensive people.
Sorry, what about lawyers?
You don't do things pro bono. So by the time they get paid, they've got to pay you first. So you don't know what they end up with. But really, this is the dynamic of what took place, I think, in this project that I think people ignored. What can anybody in South Africa do with 100 rands a day to an adult who is ill, who requires high attention and high care? What can you do with 100 rands? And if you can't do anything, why did we subject these people to that level of care?
Thanks, Professor. I piggybacked on a question which Council had asked, and it turned out to be, but there is some intersection there about care and resources. And I think you got an answer there, but I want to have it interpreted before you follow up. Shall we...
Het gepraat oor die oorvol fasiliteite. Wat is die impak van hierdie op die sorg van op hierdie pasiënte? Wel, as 'n mens kyk na die aantal personeellede teenoor aantal pasiënte, dis soos wat 'n mens makliker 'n klas van 20 kinders gaan beheer as wat 'n mens 'n klas van 60 kinders gaan beheer. En nou is die geestesgestremde pasiënte in 'n oorvol fasiliteit. Party van die pasiënte is aggressief en dit is erger as hulle die personeel nie bekwame is om te sorg nie. As 'n pasiënt stype het of iets en die persoon weet nie hoe om na hierdie persoon of die versorger weet nie om die persoon om te sien nie, sal hulle miskien wil druk en neersit dat hulle nie kan asemhaal nie. So van u bevindinge is die NRO het finansiële of het hulle finansies eers 3 tot 4 maande nadat hulle pasiënte ontvang het eers gekry. So daar was nie kos, linne of klere nie. Wel, soos wat my feite bevind het, twyfel ek nie dat die NRO's was lisensies beloof en betaling beloof en hulle het net pasiënte ontvang. Party van hulle moes hof toe gaan vir betaling en wat my werklik gepla het is dat die projek geloods is om geld te spaar, maar dis nie die geld spaar is nie dieselfde as om geld te weerhou nie. Wat doen 'n mens met R1000? Wat doen 'n mens vir R100 'n dag om na 'n normale persoon te kyk? Nie eers gepraat met iemand wat hoogs gespesialiseerde sorg kry nie. Dis wreedheid. En so wat ons weet van hierdie persone moes hof toe gaan om geld uit die departement uit te kry. En nie weet prokureurs is baie duur. So ons weet nie eers hoeveel geld hulle op die ou einde gekry het nie. En dis die dinamiek wat plaasgevind het. Wat kan iemand werklik met R100 doen 'n dag?
Dankie.
Umeli-ke ubebuza umbuzo ukuthi ke ingabe ngenkathi ke uthula ubufakazi usolwazi ukhulume ngendaba ukuthi ukugcwala ngokweqile kube nomthelela. Yebo uye waphendula ukuthi yebo ngicabanga ukuthi ukugcwala ngokweqile kuba nomthelela ngoba ke uma ubhekisisa kufanele ukuthi ke amanani abe khona ukuhambisana lokho kubizwa ukuthi i-ratio ukuthi abahlengikazi bakwazi ukuthi ke babhekelele iziguli ezikhona lapho ngoba ke njengoba sishilo ukuthi ke lezi zigulane ke abantu ukuthi bebegula ngokwengqondo kukhona abanye abanobudlova lapho kufanele ukuthi ke bahlale banakekelwa ngaso sonke isikhathi manje ke kuyadingeka ukuthi ke kube khona abasebenzi abanele futhi abafunde ngokwanele ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi ke bahlinzeke izinga elifanele lonakekelo. Kanti ijaji uye wabuza ke ukuthi manje ke maqondana nale ndaba yesondlo ke ukukhulunywa ngaso ingabe sibe nomthelela yini njengoba ke lo mnyango wezempilo wala eGauteng kuthiwa ke lama NGOs wayithola imali mhlambe ngemva kwezinyanga ezintathu noma ezine ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi bathenge ukudla izimpahla nezinye ke izinto ezifana nalezo imithi kubanakekela into ezifana nalezo usolwazi ke inaye ke uthi ke hayi imiphumela siye sayithola ke masenza lo phenyo ngilekelelwa ke abahloli bezempilo ama health inspectors kanti ke siye sathola ukuthi ke abanye ke lama NGO bayethenjiswe ama license ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi basebenze kanti ngemva kokuthi sebasebenza abanye baye baphoqeleka ukuthi baye enkantolo ukuze bakwazi ukuthi bakhokhelwe kanti ke lokhu ke kuyangimangaza kakhulu ngoba ke kube isivumelwano nesithembiso ebanike esenziwe uhulumeni kanti kuyangimangaza kakhulu ukuthi ke bavumelana kanjani ke ngekhulu lamarandi ngoba ke mina ngibona kuyimali encane kakhulu le okwamanje ayikho nje into ongayenza nge100 nje ngosuku ngoba ke labo bantu kufanele ukuthi banakekelwe banekekele nezigulane kanti ke kuba yinkinga kakhulu uma kufanele ukuthi ke bathathe izinyathelo zomthetho ngoba abameli labo babiza kakhulu abamane nje basebenzele mahala manje ke ezinye zezinqinamba ebebabhekane nazo.
Council.
Thank you, Justice Master. I'm just trying to find my place again.
You had asked about overcrowding.
That's about overcrowding. And you asked the next question in my line, so I can move on, and the answer was provided. So can I then move on to the issue of medical records? From how I understand your findings to say that many patients were transferred without medical records. What was the explanation for that? Why medical records or medication didn't accompany the patient in the process of transfer? The consequence of it is obvious.
I think it has to be translated first before I answer.
Yes.
U het gesê dat ek wil nou graag gaan na die mediese rekord toe. Baie pasiënte sonder mediese rekords oorgeplaas. Ek wil graag weet wat is die verduideliking hiervoor? Ons weet wat die gevolge is daarvan, maar wat is die verduideliking daarvoor?
Umbuzo ke ukuthi ngekathi uthula ubufakazi uthe bekungekho ama-record wekwelashwa manje ngifuna ukwazi ke ukuthi ke kungani lokho bekunjalo ukuthi abantu
Now let's assume that they did not have the records. When I interviewed people from Life Esidimeni and several doctors, they agreed that not all the patients were given their records, but they agreed that they were given summary notes and records that would have been enough for a medically or a health-related qualified person to be able to interpret. So there was never an issue that there were no absolute records. The records were there, but they were given in a manner such that they were either summaries of records that could be interpreted by any properly qualified people.
Records were given to NGOs.
They were given to patients who were going to NGOs. I think that is in the evidence that is given by people from Life Esidimeni. But as I say, the original records should have been duplicated and have been kept by the Gauteng Department of Health, because these are their patients. They are only residing at Life Esidimeni at the behest of Life Esidimeni, but the two records have to be kept by them. They should answer why did they not have the records, because they are the owners of the patients. You remember there's a statement during this battle where the MEC is recorded to have said, I'm not closing Life Esidimeni, I'm just taking my patients. Now, you cannot take your patients if you did not have their records. Why did she not have them at that time? So I think these are issues that maybe should be probed, but I don't think it was for me at the time. I believe they should have had, and from Life Esidimeni, they were given enough record that were summaries enough for them to be able to do what they're supposed to do. Now let me come to a much more difficult one. If I give a medical record or a summary of a medical record to somebody who is not qualified to read a medical record, what will they do with it? That's a problem that I think has to be explored. That's why I'm saying the difference between a hospital and an NGO is that when you come with a record that a doctor has written with their bad handwriting and you take it to a hospital, other doctors struggle and they put it under a microscope to read it. If you take it to an NGO and they can't read it, they just assume that it doesn't mean anything and they do nothing out of it. So there are all these little things that we need to understand. That's why
Where would the medication have come from, Professor?
The what?
Where would the medication have come from? Who was obliged to supply the medication?
They were all supplied with enough medication for 3 weeks. I think it's all on record. They didn't leave Life Esidimeni without medication. They left with enough medication to sustain them for the period.
I mean subsequent to the initial medication.
Well, the medication subsequently should have come from the NGO in collaboration with the districts, because these patients are placed in district, and the districts are the basic tenet of the national health system, or our national health system, where when a patient comes, primary health care of anything, whether it's mental health or any other health, should be provided by the district. So when I receive a patient in my district as a doctor, I must report them to the district managers so that they can assist me with whatever services are needed. That's what should have happened. Now, again, it brings back a point I can also now emphasize. If you go to Sidibeng, where a few people died, the managers in the district and the people in the NGOs worked very well. If you come to Pretoria, or Tshwane as it's called now, it was the West, where there was no collaboration between the district managers and actually the NGOs. In fact, some of the district managers there didn't even know which NGOs existed until patients were dying, and then they were called in as emergencies rather than in a very preventative, proactive manner.
Thank you.
So die Life Esidimeni pasiënte was by Life Esidimeni, maar hulle was pasiënte van die regering van die Gautengse provinsie gewees, en hierdie rekords moes by die Gautengse Departement van Gesondheid wees. So Ek het dan of gehoor dat in die onderhoude wat ek gehou het, is nie alle pasiënte volledige rekords kry nie, maar almal van hulle het of hulle volledige rekords of 'n opsommingsnota van hulle rekords gehad. Genoeg vir 'n medies gekwalifiseerde persoon om vir hulle te sorg. En dis gegee vir die pasiënte wat aan die NRO's toe gaan het. Die oorspronklike rekord moet gehou word deur die departement, maar dit bly hulle pasiënte. En hulle moet antwoord hoekom hulle nie die rekords het nie. Die LER het gesê ek sluit nie Life Esidimeni nie, ek vat net my pasiënte. As ek 'n mediese rekord vir iemand gee wat nie gekwalifiseerd is nie, wat gaan hulle daarmee doen? As die dokter se handskrif sien wat geskrabbel is en gee dit vir 'n ander dokter, hulle sal op die einde uitwerk wat daar staan. Vir iemand anders gee om dit te lees, gaan hulle dink dit maak nie saak nie want jy kan nie sien wat daar staan nie. Maar waar het die medisyne vandaan gekom? Wel, almal het met 3 weke se voorraad daar uitgestap. Nee, maar die nadat hulle oorspronklike medisyne gehad het. Dit moes vanaf die NRO en saam met die streeks of die distrik se nasionale gesondheidstelsel, hulle moes saamgewerk het en dit gelewer. Dis wat ons sê die beng is, waar daar ook 'n paar mense gesterf het hulle die beste verhouding gehad tussen die streek en die NRO. As ons praat van Pretoria of nou Tshwane, dit was geen samewerking gewees nie. Party van hulle het nie eens geweet dat die NRO's bestaan totdat daar sterftes aangemeld is nie.
Ngamafuphi ke ukuthi ubebuza umbuzo ukuthi manje kuza kanjani ke ukuthi bahambe bangaphathanga ke izincwadi noma ama record wabo okwelashwa. Usolwazi uphendula ngokuthi lezi zigulani bekuze izigulani ke zomnyango wezempilo wala eGauteng yibo ke abafanele ukuthi ke bona bakhiphe lezo zincwadi ngoba ke Esidimeni ke bona ke baphethe lezi zigulani kodwa ke izincwadi lezo bezifanele ukuthi ziphume kumnyango wesifundazwe wezempilo. Kanti ke futhi ke uye wakhuluma wenza isibonelo sokuthi ke uMEC siyakhumbula ukuthi uye wakhuluma amagama ukuthi yena akavali iLife Esidimeni kodwa uthatha nje izigulani zakhe. Manje into ecakayo ukuthi ukhishwa kanjani izigulani uma ke kungekho nalawo ma record ngoba ke lezo ziguli bekuze sifundazwe bokufanele kube yibo abazi ukuthi balethe lezo zincwadi. Kanti futhi okunya kusho ukuthi ke kubenzima kakhulu ukuthi ke sibhale umbiko ke wokwelashwa kwesigulani kodwa unikeze umuntu ongafundanga ngokwanele. Kuba nzima ukuthi ke akwazi ukuthi afunde loyo mbiko kanti ke kuba nezinqinamba ezifana nalezo. Kanti uye waqinisekisa futhi udaba lokuthi ngenkathi lezi zigulani zisuswa ke lapho eLife Esidimeni bona ke babenikezwe imithi yamaviki amathathu. Kanti ke ngemuva kwalokho bokufanele ukuthi iNGO kanye ke nesigodi umnyango wezempilo ukwazi ke ukuthi ubhekelele ukuthi ke ngemva kwaleso sikhathi baqhubeka kanjani ukuthi babhekelele lezo zigulane ngemithi efanele.
Council, the plan to all of us is to go to 5 p.m. and to stop then. So please go ahead and let's see how far that takes you to.
Thank you, Justice Masaneke. Professor Makgoba, on page 18 of your report, you record the following, and I'd like to read it to you. You say, there was a general climate and culture of fear and disempowerment observed among staff members to challenge or engage with authority or principles as they referred to them during interrogation. There was a fear even to name this. There was a fear even to name the so-called principles. So no principle was named. That's a quote from your report. It's page 18 of your report. If it would help you to, you recall it. Yeah. What can you explain this? It doesn't feature too much more, as I recall, in the rest of the report. This question of a general climate and culture of fear in the department.
Yeah, I think if you go into the list of people that I interviewed from the department, if my memory serves me well, I interviewed 25 staff from the department, from the Gauteng Department of Health. Maybe I should exclude the MEC, the HOD, and the director. So it would be about 22. When I spoke to these people across the board, they expressed this fear of failure to challenge authority, to stand up for their responsibility, because I suppose if you grew up in apartheid, you would understood, they always felt that people were their bosses or else the boss. So the Leicester na the boss. You don't come to a job because you've got a responsibility. You are a servant of your boss and they instruct you. And when you ask them, but didn't you see that there was something wrong with this project? All of them without exception said they could see that there was something wrong. And you ask them, why did you not challenge this process? They say, how dare I do it? You know, if so-and-so couldn't challenge the MEC, who would I be to challenge them? I might be fired, or I might be disciplined, or something like that. So you found that very pervasive throughout the staff, throughout the thing. And so I asked them, but if you couldn't challenge your boss, couldn't you go behind your boss or above your boss? Or couldn't you go to other institutions like the Human Rights Commission to complain that something wrong was taking place here in our department? And they were still fearful because they felt that they would be caught. And as you go up the ladder, you discover that the closer they were to the top, the more fearful they were. For example, the deputy directors were very fearful of the director. And in fact, now when you see them, every one of them, they say, it's not me, it's the person above me that I was responding. I was just taking instruction. So you ask yourself, if you've got a country where we're all just taking an instruction, it will end up that we're all taking the instruction from the president. Let me put it that way. How can we have a country that actually runs because we're all afraid of the president, we are all taking instructions from him? Because it all goes to the hierarchy. Everybody was afraid of the next person above, and if you ask them, why didn't you take your responsibility? No, I was very fearful. And as I say, I found that pervasive in this department. And I may say it is actually pervasive in our country. The fear to challenge authority, and then the reluctance to take responsibility when things go wrong, because then somebody above you is responsible and not you. But remember that when we advertise a job, in fact, there was a time when I asked the MEC, who made the decision? And she said the collective. Now, there's no job when you apply and they say, what is the experience of the collective that you're going to work with? You apply for a job as an individual, and you are supposed to make your decision as an individual